Hey strong people, Kalle Beck here from StartingStrongman.com, and we're going to go over the World's Strongest Man Finals, give you a little bit of my insight, preview, prediction on how it's all going to shape up as I see it. This is like fantasy strongman, which once my wife pointed out to me when I was doing this all yesterday and trying, going event by event, going, I think this guy's going to get first, this guy's going to get second in the frame pull. I said, what are you doing, fantasy strongman? Kind of made me seem a little silly. Compared to doing a prediction, but anyways, you're watching. Let's get to it. First off, the finals will be 2 days of competition. They'll be doing 3 events each day. Manila, they're in Manila, Philippines. Jeez, I said Manila 3 times in a row. And that's 15 hours ahead, West Coast time for me in California. And so I think it's about 10 p.m. there right now. They're going to be doing it first thing in the morning. So we're about maybe 12 hours away from this all kicking off. So that's pretty exciting, maybe a little less. The finalists to back up, if you don't know, are Martins Lisis of the USA, Hafthor Bjornsson of Iceland, Brian Shaw of the United States, Zydrunas Savickas of Lithuania, Mateusz Kilkowski of Poland, Mariusz Belsak of Slovenia, Robert Oberst of the United States, Johan Els of South Africa, JF Caron of Canada, and Konstantin Janashia of the country of Georgia. Little change up. The events are going to be a frame carry, a car deadlift, then a overhead. I'll be going over that more. And then Sunday will be truck pull, loading medley, so it's going to be like sandbags and stuff, and Atlas Stone Series. So let's go through it event by event. The first event is the frame carry. Some of the athletes are going to have a little bit more trouble with this if they had the arm over arm pull in the qualifiers, because a lot of people tore their hands. They had 3 days off, but that could be something that someone who has a good grip but has torn hands, and the frame it might be changed since Rogue's the equipment supplier, but in the past it always had very thin handles, which gave guys fits based on last year's performance and what I've seen of all the athletes this year. I think Kilkowski of Poland his foot speed's probably better than anyone else right now. He's way bigger and stronger than he was last year in the finals, and he had a tricep injury, which he got surgery for, but it looks like all he did was spend time moving with weight during that, because he looks fast. I think he's going to win that. I think Janashia is always very fast on the frame, and I think Martins is good at frame carry as well. Shaw is too. I think Thor sometimes struggles with frame carry, but he could pull it out. I think this will be a hard event for Savickas and Belsak, just because I don't think they have the best grip of the bunch. GF Caron has a good grip, but he has an injured hip flexor, so it's going to be a little hard. I think that's going to be a factor. I think he might be towards the bottom. Some of the people in this group that could really shake things up and steal points, as they say, and get in between some of the people, I think, are in this event are Robert Oberst and Johan Els. Both are big and strong and have good grips, and if they just get a good run, they could be right up there with anyone. But yeah, I think I see Kilkowski winning with Janashia, followed by Lisis, then Thor, then probably Shaw, then Thor. But any of those top 5 could probably flip-flop any which way. Going into the car deadlift, this will be an interesting event. At Worlds, it's usually a little of a deficit. It's not, like a barbell with plates is a 9-inch pole, and I think these are usually been like 7 or 8, so that does not favor the taller athletes. If you look in the barrel squat, which I don't know if they're using a similar apparatus and then they attach the car, if it's a whole separate frame. It's a front bar car deadlift, by the way. If you look in the barrel squat, or barrel deadlift, sorry, like Shaw's starting position looked tough, and he didn't get the last barrel where people like Lisis did. So that's something to consider in there, and I think Martins is going to do really well in this event. I think Thor wins it. I don't know if, Shaw with that, he just didn't look super comfortable in the car deadlift. I don't think it's the best deadlift variation for him, but he'll still be in the top 3 or 4. Gymnasia, I think, is in there. I think Karan, even with his injured hip, has his best performance of the day in this. Somewhere either above or below Z. But who I think this event is, it's not what you'd think, but it's going to be beneficial. Where Kilkowski, like everyone says, is he'll never win a World's Strongest Man title until he brings up his deadlift. But you're allowed to wear suits. He gets a lot out of a suit, and car deadlift seems to be the best variation for him. So this is a best case scenario for him having for him being in a finals, unless there just wasn't a deadlift. Like I think it was the year Magnus Samuelsson won. He won because there wasn't a deadlift, and you always lose points in either a squat or deadlift. He also benefits that going off of their all-time PRs, he has a better all-time PR in the deadlift than a couple of the competitors competing, such as Johan Els, Robert Oberst, and possibly even Belsack. So it'll be interesting. Belsack, I think, going to pull a little bit ahead, but the point is Kilkowski will likely not get absolute dead last in 1 point, which is what he has done in previous high-level contests. In the deadlift, he's cutting, literally last or second to last, and here he might get 3, 4, who even knows, possibly 5 points, which would be huge if he could get more towards, bottom, middle, or middle pack in his one real weakness. So after the deadlift, they have to go straight into the overhead. The overhead is a Rogue barbell with wagon wheels on the side of it for max weight. Pretty interesting. So, I think I saw that Rogue posted their World's Strongest Man Edition barbell, which looked really cool, but a strongman barbell is kind of an oxymoron, since the whole point of strongman is we use odd objects and non-standardized equipment. But hey, I think it's cool, and I think it's definitely going to sell, and it's a great move if Rogue's supplying the equipment, and it kind of brings more of a spotlight to the sport as well. So I don't think there's any downsides with that. I guess the biggest downside for fans is that we get to see more of a standard gym lift in strongman, but that could be a good an upside as well. And I think this is really going to depend on the clean. And some of the athletes that may not place as high in overhead events like log, but have a good, weightlifting background, that know how to do proper cleans. Even though I'm sure doing a full squat clean with wagon wheels is probably not the funnest, and are able to use a good split jerk, really will benefit here. This could benefit Martins. I think Kilkowski could place well, but I still think at the end of the day, Zydrunas Savickas ends up winning the event with a couple, and where it gets interesting is who gets in between him, Ulysses, Thor, and Shaw. There's some very strong overhead pressers in this event, including Robert Oberst. I think Belsack is super explosive and could get top 3 in this. So how many points in between some of those guys get, like Oberst and Belsack, is going to determine determine who ends up winning this whole contest. I think it's a very important event. It also depends on how the weight jumps are made. If there ends up being a lot of ties at one event. So how strongman generally works is it's last man standing. There's set jumps. Everyone has to do it, and sometimes there's a big jump where people could get maybe this guy, that was his absolute max, but the other guy could get 1 or 2 kilos more, but they did a 10-kilo jump. So there ends up being 4 people that tie with that weight, and that one guy gets above, and he gets a lot of points because everyone else has to split up those points underneath. Martins has, he can split jerk a lot. I think he had, some sort of issue in his shoulder/neck in Australia. We'll just have to see how that plays out. I think Els, Karan are going to suffer. I think Kilkowski could be towards the top, but he has that. He didn't, he looks like he's had some problems with his shoulder at Europe's. He looked great on the dumbbell, but that's using one arm, one side of your body when everything's kind of locked in place like this. Maybe it's a little different. It's hard to say, but I think Zydrunas takes it. Thor right up there. Lisi's maybe in the top 3 if he can pull it together. But I'm going to go third with Robert Oberst, at the end of the day, I think pure static power kind of plays out. Belsac could get third as well, but that'll be an interesting event. Then Sunday, they get a couple hours break, hit it back up in the morning. Remember, their Sunday, if you're here in America, is our Saturday evening, and they're 15 hours ahead. So a little Saturday afternoon fun. Sit there checking startingstrongman.com, the spreadsheet, social media, see how this is all shaping up. But it starts off, Sunday is going to be a grind. They're going to have done 2 very heavy events just previously. They're going to wake up in the morning, probably a little stiff, and then they got to do a truck pull first thing in the morning. I think the benefits to that is hopefully it's not as hot as it will get early in the morning, but it's going to be tough. I think in the truck pull, we're going to see Kilkowski he had the best finish in the qualifiers of the groups that had it. He won it last year, so I think he's going to win it again. I think Zydrunas could sneak in there for second place, or he could get 5th. It's hard to say. Thor and Shaw, it's going to be important between them who gets there, but I think they're very evenly matched, and this could come down to seconds. A couple of seconds. I think it'll also be a lot heavier than it was in the qualifiers. Robert Oberst and Johan Els will also have a good performance in this. It seems like Martins has suffered. The truck pulls have been kind of hard for him, so I think this will be, depending on how much he's improved, the most important event for him to not lose too many points and have a shot at the podium. I think over Shaw or Kilkowski or someone else. I think the truck pull is super important. It just seems like I think he was not bad at it, but enough to lose some points over those guys. Karan's, he has that injury, and truck pull's never been his suit, so he might sit towards the bottom. The load medley, it consists of this is very old school. I think they're doing 4 or 5 implements, and they're starting further and getting closer as they go. And this has Thor written all over it with. So they're doing like a sandbag. It's very old school. Sandbags, anvil, an acre, or maybe like a safe or some sort of box or another, sandbag. So I think the odd objects and moving in between different types of implements and just manhandling it and just going up, scooping it. We saw, in the previous years when they had like tires or anvils, etc. Thor just destroyed those events. No one was even close. I don't think he's as fast as he was. He's gained all this static strength, and he's probably a better overall strongman for it. But I think he's lost a little bit of that speed and athleticism along the way. He's also like 440 pounds now. But I still think he has the highest shot of winning this event with, I think it's between him or Kilkowski. Shaw will be up there in the top 3, even possibly winning it. I think Johan Els beat Shaw in the sandbag into farmers in the qualifiers. It's hard to say how hard Shaw was going in that, and Els was probably going 100%. But he's one of those kind of guys that looks like he can just pick up an anvil and run with it. I think he'll do well. Lisi's had one of the best times in the, it's a little bit different style when it has 2 sandbags and a farmer's like in the qualifiers, but Lisi's absolutely smoked it. He was just a few, I think he was like a second or so off Kilkowski, who had the fastest time. So I think those will all be the top 5. I think that's how that's going to go, and it just depends. Gymnasio will do good as well. but he'll probably middle to a little 6th, 7th or so, right in there with Oberst could get in there. He was a little tentative in the qualifiers, but he definitely has the conditioning with losing the weight he's had and his football background to do well in that event. So going into the Atlas Stones, I have it with going into the event with Thor in first, Kilkowski in second, and Shaw in third. It could easily be any which one of those ways, or even Martins, or who knows in there. But this is, of course, fantasy strongman, and I see Thor absolutely, bringing. He got beat by Kilkowski at Europe's. Kilkowski also won the Stone Series handily at the Arnold's in South America just 2 weeks ago. So I think Kilkowski might be able to get the fastest time in Stones, but I'm just gonna say I'm gonna go with the safe bet that Thor pulls out the fastest time again. Kilkowski second, Shaw third, Lisi's with the 4th fastest time, followed by Ganasia, and I think Z has underperformed on Stones somewhat lately, but I still think he gets 6th with either Oberst or Els in between there. And how I have, so I see, Atlas Stones going Thor, Shaw, Kilkowski, Lisi's, Z, Els, Oberst. Final results, I have it with Thor in first, Matthias Kilkowski in second, Brian Shaw in third, with Martins Lisi right behind, Janashi in fifth, Sedrunas in sixth, Oberst in 7th, Els and Karan and Belsac. It could go any which one of those ways. Some of those points in there are very close. I think Oberst has a very strong possibility of getting into the top 5, if not more. I think, Z could do a little bit better or worse. It's hard to say, but I think he's better than last year when he got 9th. But this is all just speculative and a bit of fun. Hope you enjoyed these videos. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Please be sure to hit subscribe on here. And subscribe to the Strong Talk podcast as well, wherever you listen to podcasts, for the audio version of these shows and interviews I've done with different athletes in the sport. Go to store.startingstrongman.com for all of your training needs, including my book, How to Train Strongman in a Regular Gym, other books for strongman like The Cube Method for Strongman, built by Mike, and we got all the training gear from SBD to Cerberus to pretty much truck pull simulators. And of course, go to startingstrongman.com for all of your latest news and information and technical articles on the sport of strongman. And let's, excited, world's strongest man, and see what happens.